Hey, what's going on YouTube? Easy Tech 231 here with my review of the Nexus 6P. So for years, people have been asking for my opinion on what phone they should get, and I could never bring myself to recommend a Nexus device because there were always a couple things holding me back, whether it be the battery life, the build quality, or the camera. But this year, that's all changed with the 6P, and I'm gonna come out and say it. Google and Huawei probably just made the best Android phone ever. Yeah. So the first thing I noticed about the 6P was the build quality. It's fantastic. Super solid. It's all aluminum and glass and it feels great in the hand. And of course you get that awesome cold feel after leaving the phone for a while. But because it's aluminum, it's a little more on the slippery side, so you could slap a case on it or you could get some skins for it, and this one here is from Slick Wraps. It's just awesome. The phone is ever so slightly heavier than my Galaxy Note 5, and to be honest, it feels more expensive than the Note 5. And I know everyone wants to talk about the 6P bending and stuff, but really, I don't pay attention to all that kind of stuff. Look at it this way, as long as you don't put your phone in the position to possibly get bent, the phone will not bend. So on the front, you have that big, gorgeous 5.7-inch Quad HD display. It really looks crisp, it's clean, and it's very sharp. It's just beautiful. Enough said. Above and below the screen, you've got the speakers, so a huge thumbs up for keeping the speakers on the front, which really should be as common on smartphones as the camera, but oh well. The sound quality is great. They don't get as loud as the Moto X front-facing speakers, but they still get pretty loud and deliver a very nice listening experience. Watching movies and listening to music is fantastic on the Nexus 6P. You've also got that front-facing 8-megapixel selfie camera, which is surprisingly good, and it'll handle all of your selfie taking needs no problem. Now on the back, you've got your Nexus and Huawei branding, fingerprint reader, and the camera module, aka the visor. Now this fingerprint reader here is great. It's fast, it's accurate, and the placement is perfect. It may not be perfect for everyone, but I just find the back more comfortable than the bottom front. Unlocking a phone has never been so stealth. Now taking a look at the visor here, we've got sort of an acquired taste thing going on here. Some people hate it, some people love it. In terms of look, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 9. It really makes the phone stand out from all the other boring phones out there. It's really unique. Now this module houses a 12.3 megapixel Sony sensor accompanied by dual tone flash. So with the Nexus 6P, the camera was what I was most excited for because cameras on previous Nexus phones have just been meh. Well, it's a different story here on the Nexus 6P. We're looking at some really nice image quality here. It handles outdoor shooting like a champ. Pictures are clear and colorful, and it produces in low light surprisingly well, and a lot of other smartphones would struggle in these conditions. I would also recommend using HDR when shooting in low light. Trust me, it's awesome. It'll make your pictures look a lot better. The 6P's camera also shoots in 4K, as well as 240 frames per second slow motion video, and this is probably my favorite camera feature. You've probably guessed that by now. The only real downsides with the camera is that there's no optical image stabilization, and it's also not the fastest thing in the world. Don't worry, it's not slow or anything, just not as snappy as I prefer. However, I do like how you can quickly access the camera just by a double press of the power button. Now, as you'd expect with a Nexus device, it's fast. Blazing fast. I cannot get this thing to lag. I've tried and it just won't stutter. The user experience on this thing is just straight up butter. Of course the phone is running and will always run the latest version of stock Android, and it brings in a few new features like the new vertical scrolling app drawer with a search bar, Doze, which pretty much looks to give your battery life a nice boost by using a smaller amount of background services when your device is in standby mode. You've got Google Now on tap, which pretty much just gives you contextual information based on whatever's on your screen. It's still in its early stages, but give it a year and this thing is going to be so awesome. You also have the ability to allow or deny an application's access to your contacts, your camera, and your storage, whereas before you had zero control over that. So the whole software side of things is great. Scrolling and switching in between apps is a breeze, and games play great thanks to that 3 gigs of RAM and Snapdragon 810 V2 processor, and no, it does not overheat. As far as battery life goes, I'm slightly surprised. I actually thought that I'd be getting more than 4 hours of screen on time because of the 3450 mAh battery the phone is equipped with, but no. It's pretty average for a flagship phone in my testing, but I can easily get through a full day's use, no problem. And if I were to run out of battery during a not so convenient time during the day, I can quickly charge the device thanks to its turbocharging USB Type-C port. Now, about this port here, again, it's another acquired taste situation here. It really does take some getting used to. In fact, just the other day, I went to grab a power bank and my USB cord and then remembered, oh yeah, this cord is not USB Type-C and I would need a new cord or an adapter. But stuff like that really isn't that big of a deal as long as the phone supports fast charging, and thankfully it does. Which brings me to what I don't like about the 6P. To be honest, there's not a lot that I dislike about the phone. For one, there's no wireless charging, there's no OIS, and there's no expandable storage, but really, those things boil down to personal preference, and some of those things have workarounds. I personally don't need wireless charging because there's turbocharging. I don't necessarily necessarily need OIS, and I can live without expandable storage, and I have the Note 5 to thank for that. The Nexus 6P delivers a user experience that no other device can. Why? Well, because it's a Nexus. It's been a long time since I've genuinely smiled at a phone. So as far as what your next phone should be, look no further than the king of Android. So bottom line, the Nexus 6P is amazing. It's got it all. Incredible build quality, a beautiful design, fingerprint reader, fantastic cameras, a gorgeous display, front-facing speakers, turbocharging, pure stock Android, great battery life, not to mention it's future-proof with USB Type-C and a guaranteed first spot in line for the latest software updates, and all of this for an off-contract price of $499 for the 32GB model. In my opinion, this is the Android phone to beat. I can easily recommend this phone to pretty much anybody, and it really is the best Android phone out there right now. So that about wraps it up for my Nexus 6P review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to destroy that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter at EasyTech231. I will talk to you all later. Thanks for watching, guys.